Photography for me is about 50% going out to shoot and 50% editing. It's so important to have a good understanding of Lightroom, and it's crazy how much a basic edit on your photos can improve them. So in today's video, I'm gonna run you through 5 tips for an EPIC Lightroom workflow. So our first tip is importing the easy way. So usually if you are trying to import some photos into Lightroom, you've got to come down to this import button, and now you've got to dig through all your files just to make sure you find the right photos to import. This is a pain. Let me show you the easy way. So first of all, you want to make sure you're in the library tab up here. You don't want to be in develop or any of these other tabs. You want to be in library. And then all you have to do is find your photos inside your file explorer. So for example, we're going to drag and drop this one into Lightroom, and that's all you do. You drag and drop it in there, and then straight away Lightroom knows exactly where it is, as you can see over here, and it's way easier to go through your photos. Now the cool thing about this is if you have a shoot like this where there are a few photos that are quite similar, you can actually go through each individual photo and see what one you want to edit. So actually I don't want to import this one at all, so I'm going to press U on the keyboard, which deselects the photo. And then if I want to edit this one instead, I'm going to hit P for pick. And you can just go through your photos like this. This one looks banging, and we're just going to continue through until we have basically gone through the whole folder. Then you want to hit import and you're good to go. So next up, we have masking our way to a better image. Now I use the masking tab a whole lot when I edit. Masks probably make up a solid 40 to 50% of my Lightroom workflow, so it's safe to say I've got a bit of experience. If we come over to the masking tab here, you can see you've got the brush, the linear gradient, and the radial gradient, and I use all these three very equally, but I'm going to show you a cool little tip and a cool little trick with the linear and the radial filter. So as you can see here, we've got this photo of me and we've already got some masks on here, but I want to show you how we can make myself stand out in this photo just a little bit more. You can use this with any subject, it just happens to be me here. So first thing we're going to do is add a radial filter, and we are going to draw it around me, the subject, and then we're going to come over here and invert it. So now you can see the outside of the image is selected, which is what we want, and we're just going to darken this. And what this is going to do, it's going to emphasize the subject in the photo and darken the background while keeping me nice and bright. Now something else I can see straight away here is up here the sky is looking way too dark. So I'm going to quickly brush this away by hitting subtract and then going into the brush, and now we can just simply paint all this away, and now it's looking a whole lot nicer. Now something else I want to do is just add a little bit of fake light. So we're going to add one of those linear gradient masks. We're going to turn up the exposure just a little bit, and we're also going to come down here and turn the dehaze down a little bit. And just like that, we have taken the photo from this to this, plus a few little other edits, but a lot of the light in the image is coming from the masks, and being able to manipulate the light with masks is crucial. It's going to step up your photo editing game like crazy. So you finished your photo edit, you want to put it on Instagram, it's time to export. I'm going to run you through the best export settings for Instagram, and this way you're not going to have to worry about any Instagram compression. So first things first, we're going to crop our image to 4:5 to take up the maximum amount of real estate on the Instagram feed. So I'm pretty happy with this crop. And then we're going to hit Command-Shift-E, and this is going to bring up the export window. And from here, I've actually got an export preset already sorted, and I would highly suggest you guys do this too. But I'm going to quickly just scroll through here to make sure you guys get the settings. So first things first, we're going to come down to file settings. We're going to limit our quality to 85. Believe me, it doesn't matter if it's not at 100. This is so Instagram doesn't compress our photos like crazy. We're also going to be exporting in JPEG, and I don't limit my file size at all here. It doesn't particularly matter. Coming down to image sizing, we want to resize to fit on the long edge and put 2700 pixels. We're also going to put our resolution to 72, and this way Instagram's not going to bother our image at all. Okay, so this one's going to really speed up your workflow, and it's editing with presets, and they don't have to be presets you've bought, although mine are currently on sale, but you can actually create your own, and I'm going to show you how. So let's say you've just finished a shoot and all your photos have a similar kind of color palette and light to them. This is of my good friend Lindsay, and we did a shoot for this brand Ain't Forever, currently wearing one of their shirts. But what I want to do is I don't want to spend all this time editing each individual photo. I just want to edit one photo and copy and paste the settings onto everything else. And you know what? Since I like this edit so much, I want to keep it for later. Well, this is how it's done. So once you've got your edit down, which this is already looking pretty good, but I'm probably going to put one of my presets on here. As you can see, all of these are actually looking banging, to be fair. But I think we're going to put one of the portrait ones on here. Oh, portrait 2 looked fire. All right, let's put portrait 2 on. And this is the look we want to go for. So we're now going to come up here to this plus button, and we're going to hit create preset. And now you want to make sure you're checking the right things. So You want to make sure you're not checking lens corrections at all, transform. You don't want to keep the masking because each individual photo is going to be different. And then because you're going to be using this preset on very similar images shot on the same day, I would keep everything else ticked. So now you want to name it something recognizable like Lindsay Sydney Ain't Forever Shoot, and create it. And now you're good to go. So all you have to do now is head over to your other images, find that preset that you made, which I accidentally put in this folder here, and click on it, and you are good to go. And we go to the next one, and we're gonna add it here. And now you've just saved a stack of time. Okay, so the fifth and final tip, last but not least, we're looking here at the tone curve. Now this is pretty daunting, especially for someone just getting into Lightroom. If you make any kind of change, it looks like your image is just potato. It's absolutely horrible. But if you get it just right, you can really do work on your image. Now, I would highly suggest playing around with this as much as you can. And just for a little rundown so you know what you're doing, I'm going to show you what each individual area means. So as you can see, you've got these boxes here and you've got 4 columns. And on the far left line, you have blacks. On this column, you have shadows. On this column, you have midtones. This column, you have highlights. And this line you have whites. Now, like I said, this can be pretty hard to nail, especially for someone who's just starting out. But one thing that Lightroom does include, which is a godsend, are these presets here. So make sure you are on this one here, not red, green, or blue, or this weird looking one. Make sure you are on this one here, the custom point. And then you just want to come in here and you can add a preset. I usually find medium contrast works very well. And now you can fine tune everything else. So for example, this image is now looking just a little bit flat since we applied that preset, but we can just increase it a little bit by going into the midtones and the highlights and increasing those, and it just gives a little bit more oomph and punch into the image. Now, if we wanted to add back a little bit of that fade, we're gonna come down to the blacks here and we're just gonna increase this. We're just gonna lift it up. And then we also might look at moving the shadows down a little bit more as well. And we're gonna come back and increase those blacks to really wash that out. We might even bring this little point up here, which is in between the blacks and the shadows. You can put points anywhere, by the way. And we are just going to move this up a little bit so we don't have super dark parts on our image. But that's pretty much it, guys. These are my 5 tips for beginners looking to get into Lightroom and improve their workflow. These are tips I use on a daily basis when editing photos, and they save so much time. So that's it from me today, guys. I hope you did enjoy, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.